Formula One is finally trying something new. For the first time, they held a massive event for all the teams to reveal their liveries in one place with so many celebrities like Gordon Ramsay and more Gordon Ramsay. That's pretty much the only celebrity that they showed at the entire event, even though there had to be more. Anyways, this is turn one. We watched all of F175. Overall, good show, good performance, but we're going to get into it. We're going to give you our review of both the F175 performance and all 10 constructors' liveries, as that was the focus of the night. I wasn't really sure what to expect going into the F175 event, but it kind of just turned out to be a big livery reveal.
I will say 75 years of F1 is absolutely crazy. And whenever they did the flashback of the old cars, and then you start to slowly get into the years where we're more familiar, some of the designs of some of these cars, I mean, I know that we did research on this way back when in an earlier episode, but I forgot how crazy some of these designs were.
The drivers had no protection. Picture the sketchiest car you can going 200 miles an hour, and that's what these guys were in.
Also, there was a year where everybody just had a spoiler, or the back wing was just way over the car.
Like they had the concept of a rear wing, but they didn't really know how to implement it with the current car design. So that's what they did. But yeah, 75 years of just Formula One. That doesn't even include the old European racing championships that they used to do that rolled into Formula One. This is just 75 years of Formula One proper, which is even crazier because they could probably do like 100-year anniversary of this style of racing, this Formula car style of racing. The event was held at the O2 Arena in London. I think that's probably the only right choice for if you're going to have a Formula One event, is to hold it in London, in their biggest arena. Maybe in Germany, although Germany doesn't have a race anymore. I don't know. Did you have a secondary venue in mind? They're definitely not going to do it in the US. The European market would go crazy if we held an F1 event here.
Yeah, no, a lot of hate. But as far as, I think if we're talking European countries, the O2 Arena is probably, I would say, the best fit for this size of an event. Because, I mean, it's not like it would be so big that you'd put it in one of these massive soccer arenas, or I'm sorry, football arenas. But no, the O2 Arena was perfect.
Yeah, and maybe Italy. I don't know, but it had to be in Europe, and so they pulled it off there. They had the host, Jack Whitehall, who I guess is a stand-up comedian. I'm not super familiar with his work. I thought he was incredibly funny throughout the night.
I enjoyed that.
I took down a couple of his jokes, and maybe you remember these. He started the night going through Max Verstappen and George Russell's recent beef that they've had, stemming back to the end of last season when Max and George would not even sit at the same driver's dinner table together. Thought that was great. You probably remember this one. This was my favorite line of the night when he said, "Where's Lewis Hamilton? Oh, is he not peacocking through the paddock looking like a Fortnite character?"
When he started to talk about Total Wolf crying because Lewis Hamilton's not there.
He said Total Wolf had to put in his wet eyes.
Yeah, that's the joke. That was great.
He hit Zach Brown quite a bit throughout the night on his tattoo bit, which I don't know if Zach Brown is even still doing, but he did say that if Zach Brown continues the tattoo per win policy, he'll come back next year looking like Post Malone. Yeah, he's got to figure out some other policy, because I think, like he said, he started that back when they were very average, and now they're very
Monza,
good.
if I'm not mistaken.
And that's when they were winning like one race a season, and the thing was very, very doable. Now it's not. I got two more for you. He found Jerry Halliwell in the crowd, who was, of course, a famous Spice Girl, which is very big in London. And he said, "Oh, she's here with her +1. Oh, wait, that's just Christian Horner."
Yeah, that was rough.
And then I think a little bit later on, he said, "Guys, look at who else is here. It's Joe Exotic." And they pan over, and it's Valtteri Bottas.
Which,
he's got the mullet.
You gotta love Valtteri, man. He's everybody's favorite driver, even though he's now just a reserve driver, which is also sad to see. But man, it's his whole style, his mantra, the way he dresses, his haircut, like I love it, man.
He's He's basically a redneck. Whatever they call rednecks over there,
He's an
that's what he is.
Australian redneck, even though he's not from Australia and he's not a redneck.
It looks like he can down a case of Mountain Dews and then fix something with duct tape.
Jeez.
All right, let's get into the actual car reveals. We'll go in the same order that F175 has. All that we'd like to do here is kind of give our review of the overall presentation, because I think every team was given full creative freedom to do whatever they wanted, and teams certainly did a lot, and some teams did very little with their creative freedom. Some seemed to spend a lot of money, and some spent no money. And then finally, they all culminated with the cars and the liveries being revealed to the crowd. They started off the night with a powerhouse team, Kick Sauber.
If you notice, they went in order of the or the constructors championship,
right?
So it's only natural that Kick would be first, which is hilarious, by the way, because I think whenever we were talking about liveries of last year, Kick was like number one. And to be honest, even though I'm fully expecting them to be the worst team on the grid again this year, coming in 10th. But as far as liveries go, I'm a fan again.
Yeah, so they we'll try to describe it, and I'll try to put a picture up as well, but they did have, I think, the longest build up to the livery reveal of any of the teams. I was very annoyed by Kick's presentation. For y'all being last and having to go first, which is the worst part of the night, let's get through this quickly. Let's get to the teams that matter. They had that neon drum line out there for like an hour. And then they lifted the big cage up, and you're like, oh, the car is going to be under the big cage thing. Nope, just more neon drumline dudes. And then they did a video presentation. And then here's what got me. They spoiled the car reveal in the video. Yeah. The car wasn't even out yet. I hated that.
To describe the car a little bit, by the way, picture if you had an all black car, but then they put that with that FlowViz stuff on it that they do in practice sessions to see what the aerodynamics look like on a car, and they just dumped the whole thing on the car.
So the front is Kick's neon green, for lack of a better color. Yeah. And then it does fade to black in the midsection on the side pods and in the rear of the car. Although there is a unique feature to this year's car that I don't think was on last year's, and it's kind of that gray midsection. They've got a gray stripe separating the green and the black.
It's like a fading effect. It's like the green is slowly fading into the black. And honestly, again, like I said, I'm a fan.
Yeah, we ranked them first, if not very close to first last year in liveries. And I got to say, this year, again, for y'all finishing last in every race, pretty much, it's going to look good doing it. I gotta make this note before we move on. I know we got to speed this up a little bit. When they were showing the animation video of the car, which spoiled the livery, they only showed that car out on track, and I know that had to be because it was so far behind all the other cars. Of course, none of the other cars could make the video. They also showed a pit lane start, which checks out for Kick.
Oh, jeez.
All right, let's move on to the Williams team. What did you think of the Williams video that they showed?
I loved it, man. Me personally, just because I'm a huge fan of the Williams story, all of it. I mean, they had Frank Williams in the video barking out orders on the race day, and then to talk about the whole buildup of like how it was family run and how they were champions, and then they showed all of the different champions up on stage holding the trophies on the podium, top step of the podium. That was cool.
Their video, I mean, Kick did nothing for me. Williams actually got me a little bit hyped up with the history. It started with them winning championships. You know, in the 80s and even 90s, Williams was like the benchmark. They were such a good team that other teams were trying to chase down, and eventually Ferrari did, and several other constructors since then, of course, have. The one issue I took with their slogan or their motto was it started off by saying, or it ended the video by saying, "That was then, this is now." And I was like, maybe those should be reversed. Maybe you should have like a troubled past and now a bright future, but instead it was a bright past and a troubled future.
Maybe it should have been like, we're making history repeat itself or something like that.
Yeah. history returns, something like that. I put the note down when that popped up on the screen. I was like, is this just going to show Alex Albon and Logan Sargent crashing a bunch? Because that was last year.
Oh no.
Anyways, the car. I have a hot take on this, so I'll let you go first. What are your
I
thoughts on
don't
the
hate
car?
it, and the only reason I don't hate it is because I didn't hate last year's car, which is exactly what this looks like. A lot more blue now. They got rid of a lot of the black accents, which I'm a fan of. I like the whole car being blue. Again with the Duracell battery, which is fine. I think it's hilarious. It's a funny bit, and obviously it's a big sponsor for them. They had I don't remember what it was, like either Dark Horse or Dark Force or something on the rear wing last year, and I always thought,
Dark Trace, maybe?
yeah, and I always thought that looked really cool on the back wing, and now I'm pretty sure it's like whatever their top sponsor is now,
Atlassian.
Atlassian,
Yeah.
which is fine. It's their top sponsor. It is what it is. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. I like the car though.
So let me be honest. I hate it. I hate everything about it.
Oh.
You said it's similar to last year's car. It's not. The shade of blue is the same, but last year's car was a much heavier mixture of blue and
Yeah.
black, and it even had some blue variants on it. The only variance on this car is the front wing of the car is a darker blue that almost immediately fades into a lighter blue.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the whole
Well,
car.
that's what I said, is they got rid of a lot of the black.
Yeah,
And
it's terrible.
me personally, I wanted more blue. I wanted the whole car to be blue initially last year. So I guess by my standards, I'm more pleased. By your standards, it's kind of a letdown. So
I still want tiger stripes to come back.
yeah, that was a cool year.
That was a goat livery. My last note on Williams. Why did James Vowles walk out like a WWE wrestler?
I'll say this, man. I love James Vowles, and you know what? The fact that he walked out there with the biggest set of confidence that you could. I mean, he looked exactly like you said, like a WWE wrestler. He walked out there with the microphone. He's like, "Ladies and gentlemen," and
He was doing this
to
walk.
be fair, he's walking out there, and right behind him, he's introducing Alex Albon and Carlos Sainz. It's a pretty stacked lineup.
Carlos has to give you some confidence.
Again, with this whole not liking Alex Albon thing.
No, I don't mind Alex. We've talked about this a lot. I like Alex, but having Carlos is another level.
Yeah,
You've got
no,
to
it's
admit.
another Alex, but better. And so you have essentially two guys who I would put better than your average midfield drivers.
Yeah, and so I like that, but yeah, I just wrote down immediately WWE wrestler because that's what it reminded me. It reminded me of like John Cena entering the ring on, Royal Rumble
That's
night or
funny.
whatever that was back in the day. Okay, let us know y'all's thoughts in the comments on the Williams car. Jeremiah likes it. I hate it. Maybe y'all are somewhere in the middle on it. The Racing Bulls team. You know what? I am finding that they are using the term Racing Bulls a little bit more these days.
You know what? I know we're probably going to give our rankings here at the end or something. I don't know if we want to give out our rankings right now. But man, this is tops for me. This livery right here. I was a huge fan when Red Bull teased this. I think it was only for like one race or something like that, where they went with the white livery, and I was like, man, that is sick. And I've been waiting for Red Bull to return to this for a long time. So for the B team to come out and just drop this awesome all white livery with the Red Bull logo on top, the Red Bull logo at the front, and then like this fading blue in the back, where if you actually zoom into the blue on the back, it's miniature bulls. Dude, it is such a cool car. I love it.
I knew that you would like that, especially when they zoomed in on those bulls in the back, because it reminded me of the Mercedes
Yeah,
logo being used
exactly.
in their fade, and now it's the bulls, which is beautiful. I like the car. You're right. The all white is unique. Not a lot of teams pull that off. Haas has had some white iterations. Even AlphaTauri, I think, maybe tried a white version back in the
But it was
day
never all
when they were
white like
doing.
this.
No, it was never all white. In the red and yellow of the Red Bull logo pops off of the car like crazy. That thing is going to look sweet going around the track. I almost wish in future versions they'll incorporate those little mini bull patterns into more places because that's a cool
I just
effect.
wish this was on the top team because, let's be honest, I'm not really going to be paying too much
Uh,
attention to where the team is.
I let's see, what else did they have? I appreciated their video that they did before the livery review of the guy on the street interviewing people.
It was
They were
funny.
clearly making fun of
Yeah,
themselves.
it was funny. I liked it, but yeah, because there's not really like a history for the team that you can go back to
Nobody had heard
unless
of
you go
them.
back to the teams that they took over. But I mean, the team is so young. They've rebranded from Toro Rosso, AlphaTauri, now Visa Cash App Racing Bulls, and it's like obviously this year they're putting a heavier emphasis on racing bulls, and I appreciate that because Visa Cash App is it's just too much, man.
But Racing Bulls
It
is
sounds
cool.
cool.
All right, so in between Racing Bulls and the next team, which is Haas, we had Kane Brown do a live presentation, which I thought was odd that he was in London at an F1 event singing about trucks and
I got
Chevys.
thoughts on this.
So I didn't know why Kane Brown was there, again, singing about trucks and Chevys. But then the Haas hype video started, and who's narrating it? Kane Brown. And I was like, oh, it all makes sense now. Okay, this checks out. They are really trying to link themselves to America's team now. Just overnight, they said, we haven't used this in 8 years. But you know what? Today's
I'll
the
tell
day
you
we
why.
claim we're America's
I'll tell
team.
you why. Because Cadillac is flirting.
Yeah, they've got to claim stake, of the American F1 market before Cadillac gets in.
Here's my thoughts. Not on the livery, because I can't even get to the livery yet. The, the performance of Kane Brown in the O2 Arena of London,
It was very weird.
talking about trucks
And Chevys, specifically Chevys, which have basically no tie to Formula One.
Dude, just from our comments alone that we get talking about, it's very obvious that, Europeans aren't necessarily the biggest fan of Americans joining sport and having an interest in it. So for Kane Brown to go and perform and talk about trucks and Chevys, all of them were just watching like, oh my God, America. Gee.
They also had this note in their video that, again, Kane Brown was narrating. I'm going to read this verbatim, at least as verbatim as I could type it out. Gene Haas did the unthinkable and brought an American team to F1. There have been other American teams in Formula One. How was that the unthinkable? Here's the American teams I have: Shadow, Penske, Eagle, Curtis, Pernelli, Scarab, Tech-Mech, Ford. But yet, no, Haas was, unthinkable.
Yeah, here's the thing about that, too. Did Gene Haas really bring the team, or did Gunther Steiner go get Gene Haas and beg him to sponsor a team? I mean, let's be honest, it's kind of Gunther Steiner's team that he formed, and Gene Haas was just kind of like, you're not doing the job, you're out of here.
Yeah, I had a lot of issues with that hype up to their car. Which, speaking of their car, standard Haas livery.
Well, okay. Here's the thing. I like it. But the only reason I like it is because I like predominantly white cars, and I like the black and red accents. It's not too much black, it's not too much red. It's just right. I like the black Haas letters on the white side pod. I think that looks awesome. I like how the nose is all white, but it has like a black centerpiece that's outlined in red, and the same on the wings, or the front wing. I really thoroughly enjoy this livery, if I'm being honest.
If you haven't yet seen the car, picture again any red, white, and black Haas iteration. But yeah, make the white on the side pods more predominant, and then make the side logo in black, and it paints a pretty good
I think
picture.
of the Haas liveries that we've seen, this one's probably my favorite.
It's better. It's a better version. Again, I'm with you on the contrast. I had the contrast of the white side pod with the black upper and the carbon fiber lower.
Yeah.
That it looked good. It's fine. They didn't do anything over the top, but they also didn't mess it up. So I'm fine with that. They started doing these little videos in between the teams. So in between Haas and Alpine, they did the greatest rivalries in Formula One as a little like 3-minute video. And I thought it was cool. I enjoyed it. But here's the only thing that I thought, for if they're going to do this type of event going forward, which it kind of seems like they are, this is going to be the new thing that they do. They've got to give some context to the video, because if I'm a casual fan watching those videos, you have no idea who's on screen, no idea what quotes they're pulling, you have no idea what rivalries they're showing. Like, they didn't show, like, Prost and then put his name up there. It was just pictures and videos of people that you may have no reference to. And if you're a casual fan, you have no idea what that video is talking
I
about.
think that we had an advantage just because of the fact that with this show, we actually went back and did research on, past rivalries. We even have videos you can check out on our channel further back on rivalry specifically. So we had that advantage of kind of already looking into stuff like this, and we knew who was on the screen. But yeah, I would agree, for your average fan who maybe got in this year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, they're looking at that and probably not knowing who those people are.
Yeah, because it didn't even make it clear when what rivalry was being talked about, or when it switched to another one. It was cool, but again, hard to follow if you're a casual fan. Alpine's presentation was terrible. They had a DJ on stage for 45 minutes. It was super low budget because it was literally just the DJ. They didn't have any other theatrics or anything. They did a short video presentation halfway through the DJ set while he was still jamming out to Rise Higher or whatever that song was called. The only thing I liked about their presentation was how they pulled a pink cover straight up off the car when
The
they
only thing
revealed
I
the car.
liked about their presentation is when the DJ stopped. I was just
It was so long.
so long. And the set was good. I mean, the music was good. I just didn't think it was going to be that long. It's kind of ridiculous. I don't know. If we're going to talk into the actual livery itself, though, now, picture last year's car, and this is not exact, but pretty much. All the pieces that were blue make them pink. All the pieces that were pink make them blue. Essentially, that's what this livery is. And you know what? I like it. I kind of like it. I like that there's more predominant pink. Because I think that the pink and blue has always been a pretty interesting partnership, and I always thought it kind of looked cool together. I like the pink lettering on the side, the BWT. I like the pink rear wing. I like the pink front wing. I kind of enjoy it, but I still don't like the team because they bore me.
I agree with you. I think the overall livery is an improvement. In years past, they've either done all blue or all pink. They're kind of combining them now more into 50-50. The front half of the car is a little bit pink. The mid section of the car is blue. My favorite feature, you mentioned it, the pink BWT lettering on the side. Why have they not done that
It
before?
looks so cool. It pops so well.
That's a fantastic logo, and BWT is already pink, so that just makes sense. Remind me to talk about HP later on when we talk about companies altering their logos to fit the teams a little bit. So yeah, there was Alpine. Let's move into Aston Martin, who really went back to their roots of Aston Martin, the car company, and had the full James Bond hype video
Sweet.
that had their drivers Alonso and Stroll on the speedboats shooting torpedoes and then helicoptering into the arena. I thought that was fantastic because what do you think of when you think of Aston Martin?
It's James Bond's car, absolutely. And you know what? It also gave me. I don't know how much you are up on your EDM DJs, but it gave me this. Oh no, what was the name of them? Dang it, Daft Punk. It gave me Daft Punk vibes because in Daft Punk they have their helmets and they never take them off no matter what they do. So it definitely gave me this mysterious Daft Punk vibe. And then you put the James Bond music behind it, and then of course in fashion, just like they should have done, and rightfully so, they have them like propelling onto the top of the O2 Arena, and then all of a sudden all the lights point to over there, and here comes Lance Stroll and Alonso wearing full tuxedos with the helmets on. Here's the thing. Here's where I think they messed up. They took the helmets off way too early. They immediately got in, everybody cheered, and then they took the helmets off. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. I think they should have went all the way down to the stage, stood next to the cars in their tuxes with the helmets on. And then if they want to take them off after that, whenever people start talking or asking questions or whatever, that's fine. But I think it would have really pulled the whole presentation together way better if they just left the helmets on, walked up, and stood next to the car.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that, them pulling that off too early. But they did have all the other people on stage with the helmets on, so it would have made sense to also have them on stage with the helmets on to complete the picture. They also had an orchestra on stage, which was cool. And they had somebody named Timms, who I wasn't familiar with, come out and sing. But it was like a James Bond style like background song, so it fit. the car. Standard British racing green, but more black than we're used to, or a very dark green. I can't quite tell.
Um, I think they kept it pretty classic as far as Aston Martin's concerned. They've never really strayed away from the green with the yellow. From what I could tell on stage, and it might be subject to change, and maybe the angles might not have been the best, but it looks like they had yellow fins that go over the front wheels, which is pretty cool. And of course, they have yellow accents like the numbers on the front. So they're really keeping with the code of Aston Martin, kind of being that racing green with a yellow trim, and I've always thought that looked good. So I've never thought that Aston Martin really needed to change their car too much. I always liked it.
No, but see if you can find a good picture of the side profile of the car. I think that's black. Again, it's either black or super dark green. I'm really enjoying that on the side pod of the car where the Armco logo is. It's fantastic.
Let me see.
It's subtle, but it's nice.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
All right. Next up, we enter the big hitters, our final 4 teams. Mercedes. Mercedes had a very short presentation. It was a narrated video of their recent teams, which their history is relatively short. It also showed their academy drivers. It had some go-kart footage. It had the Mercedes logo a lot in it as like the transitional pieces of the presentation. Their car entrance might have been the most interesting, as they did a pit stop on stage,
Yeah.
and it didn't go smoothly. They struggled with the pit stop on the stage.
Just a little bit. But yeah.
But let's actually look at the car. I know Mercedes has in the past had some of your favorite liveries. I know they have one feature on this car that you probably love. Walk us through it.
Here's the thing. It's just a little bit played out at this point with the black. I'm still forever and ever and ever and ever always going to be a fan of the black and the that green that they always choose, especially the green fin on the back. Absolutely love that. And then it's really just all black. I love that. Of course, they have their signature little swoosh stripe on the side. That's going to be that green color. Petronas is nice and present on the side, like always. A couple things that I noticed that are different. They don't have the. If you looked at the intake at the top, kind of like if you picture where Williams's Duracell is painted, that used to be red, and I always liked that it had just a touch of red to the car. Always thought that for some reason it just looked really good with the whole black and blue thing that they got going on, and without it, it still looks good. It still looks slick, but I'm kind of like, oh, dang it.
Yeah, that red was their Ineos partnership, which I don't know if they lost or if they've moved them to a different part of the car. I can't see their name on the pictures of the car that I have, so maybe Ineos is not partnered with them. No, I see it on the front wing. Never mind. It's on the front wing. So maybe they just took that one away, but now that area, the air intake is silver, which more or less just blends into the rest of the car.
Silver's part of their whole mantra. I mean, they were the silver arrows for the longest time, but I always liked
it. Just doesn't stand out.
I always liked how Mercedes seemed to do this thing where they would go to the silver for a bit, and then they would touch on the black and tease it a little bit, then go back to silver, and then they would touch on the black and go back to silver. Now it seems like they're sticking with the black and touching on the silver every now and then, which is fine. I like that. I'm not a big hater of it. It's different. And then, of course, the Mercedes logos as they fade to the back. I've always been a fan of that, and they've kept that, and I love it.
The fading little Mercedes star triangle logo, whatever you want to call it, I love that. They made it pretty predominant on this car. Like, it stands out quite well. Okay, Red Bull. In keeping with every year that Red Bull has been a team,
this is the biggest changes they've ever done by far.
This whole thing could have been an email. The whole thing. The presentation was very short. It was a video that literally just showed the drivers. There was no history, really. It was just Max winning championships, and then, here's Liam Lawson. Also, we have him too.
Also, a lot of the other teams had their drivers speak, Absolutely no words were spoken at all. Not from the
No.
4-time champion. Nothing. Not a single word.
Well, Christian Horner spoke to introduce everybody, and he got booed by the whole crowd.
Yeah, that happened.
He got booed by that whole arena. But the car, I what are the differences that you're seeing? Because
Oh, I was
I don't.
100% joking.
Okay, I thought you were being serious because it's the same car.
It's been the same car for since what 2010. They had a little bit of flair of purple in there as one of their sponsors, but besides that one off year, yeah, it's been this livery every single year.
Yeah, so their presentation was short, which I appreciate. I appreciated the short presentation. I just thought it was very,
Hey,
very
we're
weird.
Red Bull. We're here to win. See y'all later.
Yeah. Ferrari. They did the Enzo Ferrari birthday video. Is that what that was?
I think so. They had, yeah.
It was some recognition of Enzo Ferrari, which was cool because Ferrari, out of all the teams, most history of not only F1 but just a car brand in general. I don't think really any of the other constructors can compete with that. Maybe, I mean, no, not even Aston Martin. They're not even coming close to Ferrari history. So they did that. They also had the video of their F1 cars through the year, which I appreciated. It was kind of like a blueprint esque designed video of their cars through the years.
Did you notice they steered very clear of showing the car with the big Marlboro logo on the side of it?
Which was a large section of their history.
Which I'll transition this into the actual livery itself because I'll let you get into your portion that I know you want to bring up. I know it's there. It's baking. You really want to talk about it. But I want to mention a couple things first. One, the red is a little bit darker. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, so they have two different reds. Back in 2019, I think for the first time they introduced the darker red version, or maybe it was 2020's car. It was like a more matte, darker red. But since then, they've alternated between that red and their brighter, more shiny red.
Yeah, this is definitely back to that little bit darker of red, which, I like the shinier one. Although
I like the darker one.
Yeah, teach his own. From the intake down the side pod, they have this white stripe, and you know what? That is paying homage to the Marlboro car, in my opinion, because that's exactly where the logo was. That's exactly what it looked like, and I like it personally. I like that. There's multiple different accents that are outlined in white. I like the rear wing that's white. I think that the front wing with the little bit of white flare is also pretty sweet. I like everything about this car except one thing, and I'll let you decide what that is.
I hope I hit on it. All of the white.
Oof.
I know you're trying to make you were trying to make a reference to that being the Marlboro thing, right?
Yeah.
No, this is an HP thing. This is 100% an HP thing. They were trying to figure out how to put a stupid blue HP logo on their car, and they couldn't figure out how to do it. So they made these giant white. The front wing is white. The front wing of a Ferrari F1 car is white. The entire middle section behind where the driver sits is a diagonal white stripe with a blue, and it's massive. It's not a little stripe. It's the whole back section of the car is a white stripe with an HP logo on it. What are we doing, Ferrari? You are red and yellow. The Shell logo, perfect. Because you know what? The Shell logo is red and yellow. HP, get your act together. Give them a red or a yellow version of your logo to put on that car so it doesn't look so hideous. This makes me actively want to not buy HP products.
I love our conflicting opinions.
I hate this sponsorship. And then they have the stupid blue HP on their uniform. It's the worst partner team combination, sponsor team combination in so long.
So
nothing has clashed this much.
As far as the part that I hated the most about the car, it's the blue HP logo. It absolutely does not belong anywhere on this car whatsoever. I have to combat you on the white on the back of it. It brings back vibes of the Marlboro Ferraris of old, and in my opinion, and I respect that. Obviously, it's not It's not.
do the barcode
No, they
thing.
can't do that anymore. They got in trouble, and you know,
Fake it, but do the barcode thing so that at least you're symbolically showing what it
and you can't
references.
make the white look like the Marlboro logo because they got in trouble for that. It looked like the cartons, but like the area that the white is, that's exactly right where the Marlboro logo was. And I've always been a fan of when Ferrari introduces white. I think it looks cool, but I think every instance of blue and H and P on this car is an absolute joke.
And I forgot about a whole other section of the car. The entire rear wing, also white.
Love it.
I hate this car. And Ferrari has had some of my most favorite liveries of all time. When they had the matte red car, maybe it was 2021's livery. I'll have to figure it out. I've talked about this on videos before. But when they had the dark matte red car with all of the black accents, it was the first year that they did the wheel covers. Do you remember when they did those shiny black wheel
Yep.
covers and they had that dark red car? That looked perfect. This is an abomination to the sport of Formula One.
Jeez.
All right, let's move on to McLaren.
I loved McLaren's whole. They brought out all the classic cars. Again, if you noticed, they strayed away from showing the Marlboro days, which is hilarious, considering it's their most winningest car. But I thought it was so cool that they wheeled out all these iterations of the cars of old. Presentation was awesome, in my opinion.
Presentation was fine. I like them having the old cars. I thought other teams, in hindsight, should have brought out some of their old liveries as well, because we know all of them keep all of their
Yeah.
cars. Like, they all have showrooms of these. It's not hard to do, just to show the past, present, and future rather than doing it in video form. Do it in real life. Their car is fine. Their car is, again, predominantly papaya, orange colored. It's got the black diagonal stripe in the middle of the car, and then it goes back into orange for the rear section of the car. It's standard McLaren livery. If you have anything different, let me know. The one thing that bugs me. Do you know what car they had on stage, like right behind this new car?
No, last year's car.
It was the Vodafone Chrome
Oh
McLaren.
yeah,
Who has been their main sponsor for like the past 5 seasons?
Google Chrome.
Why are we not doing a Chrome
I
car?
100% agree on that. But if you look at a top-down view of this car, which I don't know if you'll be able to pull something like that up on Google real quick while I'm going over this, but you'll see,
On Chrome?
yeah, they have Chrome on the car. And I'm not talking about the Google Chrome logo. I mean actual Chrome. And dude,
Yeah.
it's just a little bit of a teaser, but it's pretty sweet.
I hope they incorporate it more. Maybe they'll have an alternate livery that's for those of you that are not aware, out of all-time F1 liveries, go Google the Vodafone Chrome McLaren. It's got to be in everybody's top 5, and that's conservative. I would say it's in everybody's top 3.
Here's my opinion about the rest of the car. I give this car a big meh. Yeah.
It's standard.
Nah. I mean, when we're talking about a team with the historic white and red and Marlboro, and then all chromed out Vodafone, and then they had the all black livery with the orange accents, and then they had the all orange car with the hints of blue, and now, it's fine, I guess.
Okay, let's finish this video. Let's each give our top 2 and bottom 2 liveries. Let's not rank all 10 because that might be very hard to do, and I know we didn't prep that. So let's give top 2, bottom 2. Let's start with our top 2. You go first on top 2.
Number one's Racing Bulls, hands down. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Absolutely love it. Number 2 is a little bit harder for me because it's realistically a tie between Haas, Alpine, and Mercedes. I really like this Alpine livery. I really do. I love this Haas design. I really do. And I will always love the color scheme and stylings that Mercedes brings. I'll narrow it down to 2. We'll go Mercedes and Haas. But man, I love the Haas logo, but the Haas livery, but man, the Mercedes bringing back the fading Mercedes logos in the back. I think Mercedes ultimately wins out, man. I think it's Racing Bulls 1, Mercedes 2.
Okay. My top 2, Almost a tie, but I'll give the edge to one. Number one is going to be the Racing Bulls car simply because of the fading Bulls logo. If you take that off, this car drops down, but the fading little blue Bulls that they have on there are fantastic. Number two, give me Kickstake Sauber.
Yeah, that was definitely up there for me too.
It's clean and the neon green is nice. It's a cool car.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Okay, I'll give you my last place finishers first, since you went first on the last one. Second worst, so not quite the worst, but second worst, Williams. Again, there's so much potential there with the blues, the shades of blue that Williams has, black, white, and they did none of it with this year's car. I do not like the Williams car this year. Worst car on the grid, 2025, Ferrari. That thing is terrible. I mean, seriously, I hate the Ferrari car. I hate it. I hate it so much.
Okay.
They're putting Lewis Hamilton in that piece of junk.
Yeah. That's rough. I'll give you my bottom two. We'll start at second to worst. No, these two are interchangeable for the worst. I'll give you my worst A and worst B. Because there is no second to worst and worst. They're both just awful. Give me Red Bull for having the exact same livery for the last 100,000 years that never changes ever.
But hang on, you're punishing them for having the same, but you don't actually think it's a bad looking car.
I think the livery was great in 2012, 2009, 2008. Kind of bored of it. And it's like, if you eat tacos, you're going to love it every single day. Tacos. 14 years down the road, you're going to hate tacos, man. You're never going to want to walk into a taco shop again in your life.
You could do chicken, you can do carnitas, you can do shrimp.
You can have a little bit of a blue sliver here. You can have a little bit of a red sliver here, a little bit of an orange. Maybe move the logo over a foot. It's the same freaking livery every year. I'm tired of it.
All right, give me your worst.
Ferrari. But here's the problem. If you're looking at the color palette, they have potential. The white, the black, the red, and even the blue. There is some good combinations that you could make out of that. We were teased with some really cool blue Ferraris last year. And last year in Vegas, they had this all-white back wing that in red letters said Ferrari, and the front wing had white accents, but the rest of the car was red, and the undersides and all the accent pieces were black, and it looked so good. Top 3 Ferrari livery for me of all time. Last year, Las Vegas, look it up. But with the color palette that they have, the potential is so high, and the result is so low.
When you have those weird colors that you need to incorporate, like, again, base Ferrari is red, yellow, black. Okay, you are now forced to incorporate some elements of white and blue. Got it. Be more subtle with it.
Yes, don't slap a giant blue circle on the side of your car.
Or if you have to do get HP to make you a white logo. Yeah. Why can't they have a white logo?
Or if you're going to incorporate blue, do more blue. And do more white and more blue and, a little bit less red so that the more predominant colors are on that side. But don't just...
Not just, we have our standard red car. We have to put this white and blue thing on the side of it, and that's it.
I mean, God, man.
Yeah. I'm really happy with you, man. I'm so happy you made that choice to rank them last. I'm so happy. I did not think that you would do that.
Okay, on a real note with the whole Red Bull thing, because I'm so exhausted of tacos every single day for dinner. Every single day for 15, 16, 17 years, whatever it's been. But, I've always respected the way that the Red Bull livery looks. It is slick. The Red Bull orange, red, and yellow at the top at the intake and on the front wing on the nose cone, and then just the blue side pod.
It'll never be the worst livery, and it'll never be the best
livery.
So
I'll give you an alternative to Red Bull if you're not going to accept Red Bull for my worst livery. Give me McLaren. I think again, we have the exact same problem with Ferrari. The orange, the black, the chrome, the possibilities are so good. And the product is just so bad.
Yeah, just bland.
I mean, yeah, there's the McLaren team. That's, not. Whoa, did you see the McLaren livery?
You and I are not professional designers, yet I think we could both design better cars for both Ferrari and McLaren, like tomorrow.
Give me the color palette that Ferrari has, and I'll design an awesome looking Ferrari. Give me the color palette that McLaren has. I'm throwing out the coolest McLaren car you've seen.
All right, let us know in the comments. Give us your favorite and least favorite livery going into the 2025 season.
Guys, if you think that Steak should just abandon the green altogether and incorporate something crazy, think about that color. Let me know what it is in the comments. I might just agree with you.